Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown and our live post-game show of Game 7 versus the Heat and the Raptors. And quite an interesting game. And again, it kind of falls in line with what we've seen over the many, many years of the history of the NBA. Home teams in the Game 7s win these games. It's got to be 85% of the time. And certainly, if you were a Heat fan, I am pretty sympathetic to you as far as the refereeing goes, because you'd imagine it would go in favor of the home team without question, but it definitely seemed even more in favor of them than anything else. Now, I just tweeted out a few minutes ago that while I do have a lot of sympathy for them on that end, and we might even do a court call tomorrow with Ronnie about that because of all those calls, but literally the Heat ran, I don't know if they ran offense more than 10 possessions in the entire game. The rest of the time, it was stand around, just sort of pass around the perimeter, maybe no weak side screens, very little cutting. Out of timeouts, not a sideline out of bounds plays, they'd get some kind of action. But it's really hard to compete on the road if you're not going to try and generate better shots. And they really struggled to score, in my mind, watching that game. Meanwhile, you had the Raptors become very aggressive with the way they're playing and the way the referees were calling it. It kind of, they encouraged them. They needed to get aggressive, and they got control of that game early. And that's sort of what happens. The other team gets a little desperate. They go on a run, and you could see the Raptors were just sort of about, 2 plays away from kind of really getting it separated, and they finally did get that, and they won going away. Another pattern that we see a lot of times for the last 50 years of the NBA of the home team, kind of getting up by 8 or 9 and then kind of getting closer and then by 12. And they slowly just sort of get that separation and win the game in a blowout, which is what happened. So real tough. Dragic has some notes as I'm going through my thing here. And I might have to run turn off my air conditioning, unfortunately. And maybe it's not too loud for you guys. But Dragic taking some outside shots. I don't think he got on track at all from the outside. We should check that and see what the stats are, but clearly he was trying to sort of force himself to get in rhythm on the outside, and it wasn't working. He was a lot better going to the basket, but again, without a lot of movement, it allowed the defense to stack up against him and make it a lot more difficult. In the beginning, DeRozan had 11 points in the first quarter on 12 shots. So that guy was just like, I'm just going to throw it up there and see what happens. There was not a lot of shot selection going on in his mind, and it was effective in terms of production, but also not very efficient. And then he ended up, I think he kind of shot better later. Terrence Ross was out there making plays all over the place. He ripped Wade in the open court, hit a tough 3. Then he got an and one, I think. Just really, looks good. And I was kind of joking he's going to make a ton of money this offseason. Turns out he signed that extension for, I guess, 3 years, $33 million, which I think is going to be, if he continues to do what he did in this series, and maybe we'll see what happens next series. I think it's going to be a bargain. I really feel like he's coming into his own, and I've been waiting for this. I've been a sort of a fan waiting for Terrence Ross to figure it out a little bit more, and maybe we found it here. Let's see here. In the third, the Raptors made a run with threes from Lowry and DeRozan, and plus a foul on Lowry 3. So that's really where it got to have some separation, and we'll show some footage of that. And, the Heat continually would get these long twos without any offensive rebounding. We'll check the numbers because they never got any second chance points. Meanwhile, Patterson and Biyombo were doing some damage on that end for the Raptors. And it's just hard to compete when you're not really hitting threes, and then you're giving up offensive rebounds. Those are the two big ones. If you can't lose the battle significantly on both of those ends. So don't forget, ask your questions using hashtag BBallShow, and I will answer them live. And as we usually like to do now is I'll start with answering some questions. I know we already had a few in the queue. Let's see what's going on here right now with our screen share to find out what questions we have. So don't forget to ask those, and I will get to that in 1 second. Get the right tab up here. Share the screen to everybody. All right, so what we have here first is Matthew Way, somebody that I know well, asks, do you think that Toronto needs more Ross minutes? This is the softball. Matthew, thank you. Of course, I love Terrence Ross. I think he will continue to get more minutes as he progresses and continues to do what he did, which we saw today. Hitting threes, playing some really tough defense. He's the epitome of 3-and-D, and I really like the way he played tonight. So for sure he should get more. Let's see. Zivojin Miric asks, Can the Raptors do any damage providing they win tonight without Valanciunas? That's a really great question. It's funny because, will Valanciunas be able to, handle Tristan Thompson? He's big and he's not that mobile, so I don't know. I would imagine Thompson can still do the damage in the offensive boards that he was doing against everybody else if Valanciunas is in. I'm still kind of surprised Valanciunas didn't make it back in for this game. It didn't seem like the injury was that serious. I don't know if he had any issues in the past or something like that. Maybe that was part of it, but still, I don't know. I think that they can certainly do some damage, but I just don't see it happening the way the Cavaliers looked against the Hawks. And again, the Hawks didn't play that well. I would imagine the Raptors are going to play them better, but I still don't see them. I want to be aggressive and say that the Cavs can win like in 5, but I don't know. Lowry can get hot, or DeRozan can get hot in a couple of those games, and I imagine the Cleveland wins in 6. Mike asks, does Toronto have any chance against Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals? You read my mind. Yeah, I mean, they certainly have a chance. They have something to offer where Lowry is the guy who seems to be able to battle through these, short stretches where he's inconsistent, and then he can still hit those shots. So, are they going to be able to get like Kyrie to guard Lowry? It doesn't seem like it's a great matchup defensively for Cleveland. So that might be a problem for them. And then you have, J.R. Smith on DeRozan. Those are an interesting matchup because, Smith can get hot. They both could get hot, but Smith gets hot from 3, and DeRozan can get hot from 2, and that's an interesting dichotomy there. So I don't know. I think that they have a chance, but I think they're going to have to play better than they did against the Heat. Matthew Billington asks, hype for the triangle offense video this week. Any tips on how to teach it? Okay, that's a great. Yes, I will be releasing a triangle offense video. I believe it's going to be this week. We've been accumulating clips for months now about all the teams that run the triangle or triangle action, really. And so the point of that is it's not dead at all. There's nothing wrong with the offense at all. Every team runs parts of it. And if you would run the whole thing, you'd get the same action that all these teams are running anyway. So shouldn't be an issue there. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get that video out very soon this week. And as far as what was the other part of your question was any tips how to teach it? Well, I'm trying to produce a definitive how to teach the triangle offense video. And that would be a thing where you could buy. However, there are the main thing I would say about trying to teach if you're a coach out there is part method. And I'm a really big part method for everything. Don't show the whole method until you build it up into parts. It might take a little bit longer, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. So that's my biggest thing is you break it down into individual parts and then you drill it, like 2-on-2, like 2-line drills, 2-on-0, but then you have to get to 2-on-2 and then 3-line drills and 3-on-3. You have to get to defense, live defense as quickly as you can. It might look messy, it might be chaotic, but that's how they're going to learn it better. So I made that mistake way too often where I didn't do enough defense on my part method drills, and I would certainly do that again if I get control of the team and start running triangle again. So let's see here. We have a couple more questions here before we break into some video. So let's see here. Our next question is from Death Before Dishonor. Coach, how does a team win when the other team attempts over 40 free throws? Well, you got to take 40 free throws then as well. You got to win the 3-point battle. Those are the ways you can mitigate, or maybe you get a lot more offensive rebounds. So those are the big 3. And if you're not doing that, and they certainly didn't do that on any of those, then you're not going to be able to overcome that. It was tough. I'm telling you, the referees were very troubling to me. And I've already, I texted Ronnie to see if he wants to hop on a show tomorrow to go through some of the more egregious ones. Alfredo asks, what does the Raptors' first ever conference finals visit say about the players and personnel in San Antonio? Well, that's an interesting question. I suppose you're talking about maybe Corey Joseph, that effect. Is there anybody else from San Antonio that's with the Raptors? I don't know. Maybe you have to answer that question for me. Because if it's more than Joseph, who am I missing? Maybe you can call Damari Carroll at San Antonio influence through the Atlanta and Mike Budenholzer. I don't know. But there might be something there. I don't know. Interesting question. So what say you? Let's jump into some video footage because we have that as well. And I wanted to break down some of these plays for you. So let me call up my list here, and then I will get the screen share going of our first half clips. Let's see here. Where are they? here we go. Share this and share it to everybody. Okay, so what do we have here? We have in the first, oh, shoot, whoops, that's the wrong one. Let me stop that for 1 second. How did I do that? I want, oh boy, sorry, live TV, everybody. 1241, that's the one I want. Is this the one I want? Yes. All right, so let me call this up so we can start going and turn the volume off. So in the first quarter, what's our first thing? We all see this. It's not going to be the most perfect thing. Again, I think this week we're going to have it up where I'll stream this really smooth playback. But for now, you'll get the idea. So what do we have here? First quarter, the Raptors out of a timeout. There was free throws, and then they come here. And what are they going to run? So neither team ran that much great offense in my mind. It was hard for me to grab a lot of clips that displayed like, oh, here's what they're executing. But here was an example of one where, so they enter the ball and do a UCLA cut. Although, again, this is, I think, the problem I have with some of the offense. They weren't executing their offense very well. This is supposed to be a UCLA cut as Lowry runs off of Biyombo. But Biyombo doesn't set a screen here. Watch this. Doesn't even like try and lay any wood. That could be a pass for a layup. Now watch how Winslow guards this. Okay. Do you think that Lowry is open for a layup here, even without the good screen? Look at that. He could hit him, boom, and get it. Winslow doesn't even look at the ball. Has no idea what's happening. So they do a UCLA cut with Lowry. Then Biyombo comes and they do a double pin down on the weak side, which is nice. But again, Biyombo doesn't really get in position to screen well. And I think Patterson's the same way over here. He's simply there's no wood being set, and they switch. Now that's not bad, not a bad switch, but Biyombo needs to be better at setting that screen. And then also Lowry needs to take a better angle to rub shoulders off of that screen. So now here's what it goes. So this is really great offense here where Richardson took away that pass, and the offense is kind of blown up. Look, you got a guy out of bounds here. It looks like what were they going to try and do? This is supposed to be some sort of weird weak side flare. Oh, I see. This is going to be another double pin down. This would be a nice play, actually, if they ran it right. Another double pin down for Lowry. So instead, though, I like what was happening here until the end here. We saw Wade get mad at Richardson. He was perfect position until right on the catch, he like ends up behind him. And I get it. This is supposed to be Dang's help here. But instead, Wade helps one pass away. And it's not the worst. He kind of gets there. But watch this closeout. He like turns around and has to foul. That's not a good closeout. So, you know, he shouldn't be yelling that much on Richardson when you close out that poorly on DeMario Carroll. So that's a problem. Let's look at our next clip here. That was a lot of stuff to go over here. Our next one, here's a good example. There's no offense by the Heat. You know, they're just kind of standing around. I mean, I see the attempt maybe at some sort of a weak side screen here, and maybe it's a double pin up, but no contact, no nothing. They're just sort of standing around on the perimeter, you know, kind of probing. No offense. No, you know, it's a shell drill for the Raptors defense. Of course, they're not going to get a really good shot here. And they got to burp up a bad three at the shot clock buzzer. And that was what was going on a lot of the time, and it was very frustrating to watch. Later on here, we run an interesting. So here's another one example where they did run a little bit of offense with the high post split. So this is basically like a horns setting with the two high posts here and the guys in the corners. And then when you dribble the wing and enter it here. Now look, good defense here to force him all the way out to the 3-point line. He wants to catch it at the elbow, and then they go and they split here in front of the post. This is Richardson opts to go baseline, which is fine. This becomes a handoff into almost like a pin pick and roll on the inside. There's the pass, and then McRoberts hits the nice shot in the roll. There's good offense, not enough at all. Let's see here. So then at the end of the first quarter, here's a nice little play that the Raptors ran and I liked that I pointed out on Twitter, which was, okay, here's horns. So they have horns, and again, I love. Well, actually, is it horns? Because Ross is wondering. This is a very strange lineup. I'm not sure. Double high post, and then two guys over here in the left corner. But what this happened was okay. So this is a misdirection because obviously you can't really set a ball screen in attack when you had two guys here. So I think, and probably Patterson should have been up here by the wing. But either way, there was probably not going to be much room to penetrate that way. But what it really is after the screen and roll for DeRozan, they then flare screen for him there. They found an opening, and he gets an interesting, it's legal, but interesting footwork here on the flare screen. So a good play by Corey Joseph to find him. McRoberts can't get over in time. So he stepped. He goes left, right on the Euro. I guess you call it Euro, but like a big hop step there, and then off one foot, and he drags the left foot the whole way. That's what was also very strange about this. It's not really traveling, I suppose, but he drags the left foot across and he gets the roll. So a nice little play there. And that takes us to the second quarter, where here's what I was having. Okay, this is what I like to begin with is they're setting a screen for Dragic to go left, and they obviously want him to go right because, honestly, Dragic is terrible going to his right. He really has a problem with his right hand. And so they're going to force him away from that screen, and so that becomes a slip by Roberts. That's good. And so here's what happens here is because Roberts slips here and Biyombo was up to contain the ball handler, it forces Ross to, he has to come over and bump, and it's a nice find by Dragic in the corner, and then the easy shot for Richardson. That's good offense. Finally, we see very little evidence of that, but when he did do it, it was good. Let's see here. Later on in the second quarter, so here's another horn set where they got double high post, traditional with two big men on the elbows. Lowry goes to the weak side away with the little flare screen here. Oh, yeah. So here's what they want. Dwayne Wade's in foul trouble. He's got, I think, 3 at this point, and they don't want to get a 4th, and so they're taking their chances. So all they do here is duck Damari Carroll in and force Wade to have to guard him, and he doesn't want to foul, so they get a nice easy shot inside. This is actually very smart. So this is Dwayne Casey, doing a good job coaching this. I was impressed with this. That said, Dwayne Wade's has got to be a little bit smarter and better in the beginning here to take away this pass. Once he gets bumped down here, he's dead. So he needed to be a lot higher and a lot over. He needs to be on the lane, just outside the lane line here. Another step that gives him enough space to get in front and stop that from happening and not letting him get the ball. So Wade was really troubling with his foul trouble issues where he simply wasn't doing anything on defense, and that's a problem. You got to at least try and be a little smarter. A little bit later in the second quarter, this is what we call, fake hustle, where DeMar DeRozan is in. First of all, he's not in the right stance. He's turned the wrong way, or he's turned too much toward the ball, and so then he just takes off and just tries it. This is a terrible gamble he'd never ever get. It's not even close, but it kind of looks like you're hustling on defense, but in fact, all it is giving Wade an open 3, and he's been hitting these, believe it or not. Just terrible defense. You can't do any worse than that. And then as we get close to the end of the second quarter, let's see here. Okay, so they really struggled all day long with Lowry pick and rolls. I mean, really struggled. They kept trying to do a hedging on this stuff, and it was really problematic. So here's a double ball screen for Lowry. And Richardson, this is the wrong – oh, actually, this is good. See what he does there? It's not perfect, but what I call is a slalom step. The right foot should kind of jump on that in like an extended Euro, which he's doing it. Let's see. But then he's got to kind of get his hips turned the wrong way. He ultimately falls instead of getting his hips turned toward his hips need to be on the landing of that right foot, need to be facing the referee here. And instead, he's still too open and he falls. So now we have Joe Johnson needs to read this. He's guarding Biyombo. He doesn't care at all about Biyombo once he gets anywhere above the 20-foot mark. But instead, look where he is. He's giving him so much room here. And we got a beautiful little hop off the dribble, easy shot in rhythm. And look, boom, he just nails it. And Lowry did that to them all day long. There's got to be better communication because, again, I like Richardson's hustle here. But once he loses his footing, then it's easy pickings for Biyombo to take him out. And they've got to talk. He's got to yell help. Joe Johnson should be up way high anyway. Boom, 3. Problematic. And they were already starting to get separation by 7 points. And then let's see here. At the end of the second quarter, here we go. So we're going to get a little bit more offense out of bounds play where they had a chance to call something. But this is basically an Iverson cut, a double screen across the free throw line for Dragic. And the nice thing about this is generally it opens the basket area. See, it's all open here because everyone's up, even though, yeah, that's about right. I don't like what Richardson's doing. I think he should have already been wide. But either way, it does get the help. So what's going on here? After Dragic gets this cut in the ball, you'll see Joe Johnson get his own screen here as a secondary option. And this would have actually, this would have been good. It's hard for the timing, but they should have had Richardson step up and set a hammer screen, and Joe Johnson could have sprinted with him and gotten the shot in the corner. But either way, look at how this is so good by Dragic. He can stop on a dime so well, let the guy fly by. I love it. Good shot there. The end the half, and it was a huge shot because they were in danger of losing the game here. So That's our first half clips. I guess we got a lot of people here, so I'm assuming that was good stuff. Should we go back to some more questions while we're at it? Let's see what we got here from the question standpoint. Let's share it with everybody. Get that. Get this up in front of me. Okay. And let's find where we left off, which is Robert Howden asks, in general, what were the things that allowed the Raptors to win 4 games in the series, not just Game 7? Well, you know, Valanciunas was instrumental in 2 of those, definitely the 2 before he got hurt, without question. He was doing all the little things that were making up for the bad shots with the getting, you know, rebounds and offensive putbacks and then occasional post-ups. So I really like what they were doing with him on that and his hustle. And then after that, oh, gosh. Was the third Raptors win another refereeing thing? Now I'm blanking on the third game that they won. But, you know, these are 2 pretty evenly matched teams. So it's a razor margin. Biyombo, again, was also doing some serious business. And without Whiteside, they had really nothing to counter with him. And he was big. All the hustle stuff and all the, you know, all that stuff. Woof asks, what is up with DeRozan in these playoffs? He looks like Kobe from earlier this season. Well, that's what he is. He takes terrible shots. He gets hot, and he got hot in this game for a little while, was making them. He hit 2 or 3 in a row out there that gave him separation. So I don't like his shot selection at all. I don't really like his defense much, but, you know, every once in a while he'll put you in the positions where you can you know, benefit like they did today. And so he was big. He was big today. Jonathan asks, can T. Ross be J.R. Smith too? I think he could be better. He's got more athletic ability. And so, you know, I think he could be better on defense than JR, even though JR on occasion is really good. And I don't know. I mean, I like his shot. It looks like it should be very smooth and very consistent. He struggled to find that, but, you know, as far as I can concerned, you know, yes, Ross can definitely be that or maybe even eclipse that. Vlad Sebastian asks, prediction for conference finals. Okay, well, we talked about that a few minutes ago, but certainly I got the Cavs, and I want to say 5, but I would probably end up being 6. I think that would probably be the most accurate saying. I don't think that the Raptors are going to have much for them. Skinny asks, what are your thoughts on the Warriors-Thunder matchup? Whoa, my goodness. I cannot wait. This is going to be awesome. A clash of styles, a clash of some serious talent going at each other. I think this is going to go 6-7 games. I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to have to pick the Warriors, though. I think they have enough of they are so deep. They're going to be able to outlast the Thunder when the Thunder have to go to their bench. So I think that's the key here. Zivijan Miric asks, sorry for spamming the questions. Is there a possibility for a EuroLeague final breakdown if you have time? It was a great game. Yeah, let me see what I can do. If I can get one in there and sneak it in on tomorrow, I can try, and we'll see what happens. Because I'm always up for a good EuroLeague game. Alfonso Jones II asks, how many games do the Raptors get against the Cavs? So I think I just answered that, but certainly, I'm giving them 2 at the most. 2 at the most. I think they're going to need to get Lowry and DeRozan hot in the same game, tall order. Justin Callan asks, the NBA wants it to be Toronto versus Cleveland because the league is pushing for more international ball. Thoughts? I don't know. I would think that if they wanted to push for anything, it would have certainly been Wade versus LeBron. That would have been that's the marquee matchup that'll get the most ratings. So I don't think that that was part of conspiracy of that's why they gave it to Toronto, and that doesn't seem to work for me. However, you're right. Toronto is now really, they have more NBA players from Toronto than anywhere else besides the U.S. And this is what's going to continue to get kids more interested in the NBA. And it's a big country with a lot of kids. So you can imagine that this will certainly help. But I don't know if the NBA is really pushing either way. The only way the NBA would push it, in my mind, is for the ratings. And that's why I'm thinking that's why they would have wanted the Heat versus Cleveland. And then Matthew Billington asks, any plans to visit the UK soon? Yeah, I would love to get back to the UK. I studied in England for a semester in college, and I actually got to play on the club team, the ULU club team, and I had a great time. It was really fun playing international rules back then. The three-point line was a little bit farther than 19.9. I loved it, and it was a lot of movement, not a lot of dribbling back then in '92. And so, you know what? Hey, Matthew, help me figure that out. Who can I talk to get a clinic going and whatever and make that work? Because I would love to do that in England for sure, and get back to my old stomping ground in Notting Hill Gate. Well, let's go to some of the stats. What do you say? Because I like to always go through the quarter by quarter to see how this played out. So let's do that real quick. Let me get my window open to get that prepped. This is one one of our usual things we go to. When you go to stats.nba.com, you can find a sort of interactive box score that allows you to see quarter by quarter. So here we have this. Share with everybody. And so here you can see right now the quarter by quarter, at least for the scores. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Can we all read that? Oh, that looks pretty small. Let's try it again. Is that any better? Yowzers. Well, it looks small to me, but maybe I can highlight enough and read it out to you so you can see. Let me try one more. Blow it up one more time. Did that make it any bigger? Let's see. So anyway, Toronto, Miami, 25-24. Miami was hanging tough in the first quarter. And then they made a little bit of a run here where they got some separation. And then this third quarter actually, to me, seemed like Toronto outscored them more. I'm kind of surprised right now that that's 33-31. But then certainly the fourth quarter is where the wheels fell off. And, the Heat just couldn't get good enough shots and stops. I mean, what's interesting here is, and then that became the big blowout. It's fascinating to me. I guess something happened that third quarter because they had a bigger lead and it looked like it was going to be over then. You can see some of the negatives here on the plus minus. I mean, that's rough. These guys, but then again, these guys all played probably most of the game here. Not a lot of substitution. Besides the first 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you had Richardson played 27, Tyler Johnson played 21, McRoberts was in there for 15. That was it. So the 8-man rotation, they couldn't get it done. Now, meanwhile, the Raptors probably had even a shorter rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had a 7-man rotation. Jason Thompson gave him a couple minutes. I'm surprising, but only because Valanciunas is out. But other than that, that would have been a 7-man rotation, which is very common for a game 7. Let's go to the first period and see who was doing what and which damage. So can we all? Let's see here. Can we read this? It looks big enough if you guys got good eyes and go landscape mode on your phones. So the first period, we had Luol Deng getting the line. It was his principal way of scoring. But Deng is just limited on offense, unfortunately. He's not the guy that's going to really be consistent for you. That's just how it is. Winslow hit a 3 and looked good. I like Winslow's game. I think he needs to improve his offense, but he's on his way. And then Dragic could not get an outside shot to fall, but ended up with 6 points and a couple assists. So he was doing well. On the Toronto Raptors side, we have DeMar Carroll with 4 free throws, and this is the rest were it didn't seem even. Let's see here, the fouls 5-5. Okay, so it was even there. And then how about the free throws? Free throw attempts 10-7. Not bad, not bad. DeMar DeRozan with 11 points on 12 shots. It's just kind of very inefficient, not great shots. And Kyle Lowry, by the way, struggled mightily to begin the game. And if we look at his overall numbers, we're going to see that after this bad start, he really shot well. Let's go to the second quarter, shall we? The second quarter, who did what? Let's go for the Raptors first. 12 points by Kyle Lowry. He came alive 3 for 4 and with a couple threes and even an assist in there. So he was the guy who really came alive for them. No one else scored too many points. 5 from Terrence Ross with a 3 and then another bucket, which is always fun to see with Terrence Ross. And now in the second quarter here, we had Joe Johnson and Dwayne Wade each getting 8 points. Johnson came alive with making all 4 of his shots. He struggled so mightily, and even the shots he was making were tough in this one, but he was able to knock them down, and that's what kept them close. But again, that they got outscored by 5, and that got the separation when the other visiting team starts to get a little sphincteritis, starts burping up some bad shots, and that's what happens. So I wish I could see. I bet you. Here's what we can do. You can drag this and see the first half of the third quarter, because I'm curious what the score was at that point. The score here was, actually, I want to see what the whole score was. This is neat. There's a slider here, and you can go all the way from the beginning and run it, and you can see through the first 6 minutes of the third quarter, what was the score? Yeah, 72-58. So you can see that was a big lead. That was about to fall apart for the Heat. But then something happened, in the second half of that third quarter. So let's go let's go right to the third and look at who did what. It'll be interesting to see. So, he had a lot of guys with 4 points. A lot of guys were contributing, Dragic, Wade, and Deng. And then Winslow had 7 points. Did very nicely to keep him in there and 5 boards. So, this is sort of, good stuff for Winslow. We're going to see him get better. Meanwhile, on the other side, DeMar and Kyle teamed up for 23 points between them. And DeMar, again, 5 for 11 is better, but still not quite as efficient as you'd like to see because he's not taking threes. You throw out the threes, 5 for 10. Not bad. I didn't like a lot of his shots. And then in the fourth quarter, we're going to see the big run here, which is, let's see here. Not much happening here. Really kind of too bad here. Nobody really came alive. Meanwhile, you had Biyombo, who's the guy that came alive and really just ended it. Kyle Lowry hit a dagger early that just ended the game. I'm kind of curious. There's a game tracker here. Let me see what this looks like. I think it's what I'm thinking it is. Do they have it? Okay, good. So this is kind of cool to use as well, where you can kind of see the leads and how they grew. So you can see that the Raptors pretty much led wire to wire. There was a couple of tiny moments here where the Heat had a lead. And here is this, it was close in the third quarter, but then bam, they really got separation in the middle. And then, the Heat were able to close it toward the end. But then, a steady progression all the way out to a blowout. Not much they can do about that. So that's a really interesting way to look at it. And then I'm not even sure what this box score is down here. I haven't looked at this before, but I guess it's a regular. Oh, it's all the more important numbers in the box score. Cool stuff. Good stuff by the NBA to share with us. So that is our quick game breakdown. I have some more video, don't I? Let me get the video out that let's see here. I've got another couple of clips to show you, and then we'll go through some more questions, and then we'll be done. So let's share, shall we? My next video is here, present to everybody. Let me get it up here. All right, so here we go. Let's turn the volume down. All right, and present to everybody. Okay, so we have here in the third quarter, early on in the third quarter, this was interesting. This is, I believe this was out of some breakage in the play where they could call a play. I think this might have been elevator for DeRozan. So watch what happens here. These two guys are standing next to each other. Whenever I see this kind of thing, I think, oh, the guy's going to shoot between them. So DeRozan was supposed to set a down screen for Carroll, which would then sort of force Dang to look at that and get him behind the play and allow him to shoot through the elevator doors. But they don't set the screen at all. Terrible. And then Lowry goes around. And so I guess this must have been just a double down screen. But this could have been elevator in theory. If they set this, this pin down should have been lower and they could shoot lower through it. But either way, he comes around now. This is the problem. Dang decides to go on the high side, which with DeRozan, I can see this a little bit because you want him to shoot the outside shot, and he's going to then flare out. Not a moving screen because there's really no contact, and they needed to have a switch. Someone needed to read this better. But then DeRozan gets in here. Now, that good recovery by Dang, really fantastic. Now they force the secondary action, which is simply just pick and roll. And this gets weighed on him again. Fantastic defense, rises up and just nails the three. I mean, this is what Lowry does. You can't say these are flukes. He's been doing this all playoff long in the heat of the battle in the most pressurized moments. So this is really good stuff by him, and he can really knock it down. It's not much you can do. Then we go to a little bit later in the third, where we get okay. So let's see here. This is the Heat running. The Heat are finally run a little bit more offense here. So what are they running? Handoff coming out of the corner to Wade into a, well, I don't know what Dang is doing here. It seems to me like Dang would have set a ball screen, but doesn't. And then we have a nice curl action on the weak side for Dragic, which turns into a pick and roll. I love it. Which turns into a flare. Again, there's missing action here, but a lot of great movement side to side. And this becomes almost a hammer action here where there's no screen for the guy in the corner, but he's spotting up. And Dragic can attack with his strong left hand, and then boom, who was guarding? Let's figure out what happens here. So Patterson was guarding Joe Johnson, but once this happens, he helps. And this would have been Carroll. Carroll needed to move a little bit farther, over to his right to stay even with the ball, so that once the ball gets there, he would have closed out. He started to, but Wade gets in his way. And that's risky by Wade. This could have been an interesting foul as well. Wade gets Johnson gets the open three, bam, and then they make a move here. They're getting a little closer. That cuts it to 6, and it was kind of shocking because they weren't playing that well, but that's how you do it. Then later on in the third, this is the issue here. So they get a quick reversal on the transition offense, and then here, there's not a lot of movement, not a lot of Damari Carroll's also a very good defender. So Joe Johnson tries to get in here and attack on the lane line. Damari, gets away with a little bit of a bump. Biyombo comes over and just says, no soup for you on a great swat. Lowry is right there to take off. And then watch this. They spot up right for the three. Carroll just nice and smooth. They don't pick him up, and boom. Carroll did this twice tonight, where he was in transition off of a bad shot, and bam, they get a three, and all of a sudden they get some more. They eliminate that as they were on the run and get the lead back over to a 10, and now the Heat are reeling a little bit. Let's see here. Later on in the third, okay, so here's the Wade thing is he takes a lot of long twos, but this is what you get in trouble with here. So you have. Guy in the corner, guy on the baseline, a guy filling on the weak side. Winslow doesn't really use good footwork on the screen. Oh, I see. He rejected the screen. So Wade rejects the screen, doesn't use it. Winslow should probably still cut through and get out of there. So you get, the most inefficient shot in basketball, long two, and here they come. And you're already down by 14. This is how you get down by more. Nobody picks up the ball. I mean, nobody. I have to imagine this is either Dragic or Wade, because it's the point guard, Lowry, and you see nobody's picking him up. Where's Wade? So Wade decided to pick up Carroll, and that means that Dragic is confused, doesn't know who to guard. And he's looking around, he's pointing like, oh, I got Biyombo. But no, with this lineup, it's Winslow should be on Biyombo, and someone should be calling to find him. At the very least, maybe, Dang should have realized that and gotten over it. But the bottom line is, how do you not, pick him up? I have no idea. I mean, actually, it even looks like Dragic is pointing to tell Wade to pick him up. That's a problem, and he gets a layup. You can't do that and win a playoff game. Sorry, these games are too tight. And then later on in the third, but by the way, even still, he travels on this. So, I want to go frame by frame because it looked like a travel, and I vined it. I want to make sure. So let's all go through this together and see what we have on Lowry and his footwork. And you can tell me on Twitter what you think. So let's see here. When does he pick the ball? So here's the right-hand dribble. Okay, ball's picked up now, both hands. Right, left, right. Travel. That is a pretty clear travel, even with a gather step. Let's watch it again. Boom. Right. Okay, so, let's see, because that left step is he steps right as he's dribbling. So here it is. Right, left. He should jump off of that foot. Instead, he goes off the right foot again. Travel. Shouldn't have counted. Now we have, let's see here. At the end of the third quarter, simple handoff. This is supposed to be a little, this is going to be a little pistol action. Handoff in the inside ball screen, but the ball screen doesn't really happen. And I like the cross. This is a nice crossover by DeRozan. Crossover. It doesn't dribble again. Actually, he might have gotten away with a little bit of this is not really traveling in the NBA, but still, not the best footwork. Dribble, crossover, right, left, not bad. That's not, or left, right, not bad, and boom, hits it. And I said, listen, that's a tough shot. That stuff happens, and they get the shot. I'm just kind of curious. Oh, and we got little Dwayne Wade action in here. Could have been a foul on him easily by taking out Patterson a little bit, but no call. And that is the end of the third quarter. So, do I have anything else here? I think that's it for that. Okay, so let's go to some more questions, and we can wrap up. I only have a couple more clips from the fourth quarter, if that, because the game wasn't really pretty by that point. Let me switch tabs here to get back to your. Oh, got some good questions coming up here. So we have. Jimmy asks, do coaches and GMs don't care, or dislike it when players kind of hype and showboat with the Usain Bolt point and the finger wag? Well, I don't know about the GMs. They probably don't care much, but I don't know. There's always a little showmanship that's nice, and if you earn it, then sure, why not? I know Biyombo did it the other game. I don't know if he did this game. Maybe he did. So that's always nice. You have to just be careful about getting a tech or inciting something. Vincent Lin asks, what's the game plan for the Raptors to win a game versus the Cavs? They need to have Lowry and DeRozan need to get hot together. I think that's the key. They can't be shooting like 40% or below and have any hope of beating them at all. So that's going to be pick and rolls for them. That's going to be, hopefully you get DeRozan taking better, good shots that are not forced after 6 dribbles. And that's going to be key. And then as far as the LeBron thing, who is going to guard LeBron? It can't be Ross. Oh, it's going to be DeMarre Carroll. So DeMarre Carroll is going to have to stay out of foul trouble and be effective against LeBron. It's a tall order. And And then I guess maybe we'll see a little Patterson on LeBron. I'm trying to think of who else they're going to throw at him, but that'll be interesting. Sam Wang asks, do you think that Bismack Biyombo will be as effective against the Cavs as he was in today's game? I have to imagine he won't be against a guy like Tristan Thompson. But that said, if Valanciunas starts, then he's going to be in against their backups. And so the Cavs are going to have who is their backup big behind Thompson these days for the Cavs? I'm completely blanking. How's that possible? So that's where he's going to have some advantages off the bench. So yeah, so I think he'll be able to be effective. I don't know if as effective as today because he was really good today and they didn't have Whiteside in there. So that was a big thing for him. Ellis Phelan asks, do you like the finger wag? That's so weird. How did two of you guys ask the same question? That's almost bizarre, but I just answered that question. There you go. Let's see here. Skinny asks, what does the future hold for the Spurs? Tim and Manu won't retire, and if they do, what's next? I'd be surprised if Tim stays. I really feel like he's probably going to retire, probably maybe Manu too. If they do retire, then they're going to have to reload. They're going to have to hope that what's his face can get the Manu role. Simmons. Well, they can hope Simmons can do it, and hope that Kawhi continues to improve, and that they can figure out what to do and adjust when they need to in the playoffs. Jimmy asks, do you like okay, we already asked that one. Matthew asks, shall I email you my ideas? Sure, email me, definitely. Coach Nick at BBallBreakdown.com. Danny B, what do you think of DeRozan's 6 for 10 dribble ISO every time he touches the ball? I hate it, can't stand it, don't like to watch it. Do the Cavs have enough rim protection to stop him? Absolutely, they do, for sure. And then Vlad Sebastian asks, why is there so much hate for Steph Curry, and why do people hate hearing about him being compared to Jordan? This is interesting. I was kind of shocked when I did my Steph Curry breakdown about his defense. A lot of the Steph hate started coming out at me and whatever, and I thought that he was very universally liked. So I don't know what it is about Steph. It's maybe like, I don't know. He doesn't look the part of like an NBA star, and so people don't like that. It really is troubling to me because here's a guy at the supreme skill level and done it all on hard work and effort and all that stuff. It's like that should be lauded. It should be respected. You should love it. So I'm mystified as to why that is like it is. Well, let's see. Shall we go through our last couple clips in the fourth quarter and let's see what happens here. Let me call this up here and share it with you guys. All righty. So in the fourth quarter, not too many clips. Let's see what I grabbed here. This is actually a whole sequence. So they ran a little bit of offense in the weak side here with a double pin down for Lowry, but then Joseph sees an opening here when Dragic's focus is now taken over here, looking that way. Boom, he beats him. Look, he even turns his head, doesn't he? That's terrible. You can't really turn your head like that. See how he turned his head? You can't turn your head like this when you're guarding the ball. Joseph, very heads-up play, sees the opening, attacks on the dribble, throws up a crazy shot, and then boom, this is a Biyombo foul. Okay, so Biyombo gets the foul. Now, and then I guess that there's a little bit of an insight into the Biyombo McRoberts issue there to begin with. And let's get going here. What's the next play here? Okay, so then let's see what this is. Okay, high pick and roll for Carroll. So this is a problem. So there's so much pick and roll problems, and I wanted to see what was going on here. So they have Biyombo screening a ball screen here while Carroll is not really screening for Lowry. So they're going to force him to his left, chase around. This is okay, but guess what? This is going to be the help onto Biyombo, and it doesn't come until it's too late. And Biyombo just yams all over the rim with Wade. Wade needs to step up there, and then Tyler Johnson's turned the wrong way, but he does sprint and get in the right spot. Tyler Johnson's not in the right spot. Wade should have been up here a lot higher. That's a problem. At that point, he can't be worried about his foul trouble. So then later on, what we have here, just a quick reversal. Wade rejects the screen and does a step back, really tough step back on the baseline. I know it's a shot, but, you're down by 10 and you're kind of reeling in the fourth quarter. It's dangerous. They don't get the rebound, and then they take right off, and I think we're going to see another Carroll 3 in transition like I showed you before. Bam. Carroll was worth it, man. I know he was injured most of the year, and he wasn't helping them when he came back in the beginning, but, he is an X factor, and it's totally. And when you need him, he's there. So now what happens here? This is another sequence I believe I grabbed. So another high pick and roll, and they force him. Okay, so this is all right. They kind of force him away from the screen, and McRoberts is dropped to contain. This is all good. That was good. Oh, I see. But here, this is one pass away. The closer the ball gets to your man, the closer you need to be to your man. And meanwhile, he's playing. This is almost like pack line. This is what pack line would look like, right? And yet he doesn't. Now, actually, what I do like about this is he does jab step, but the jab step isn't like smooth enough. It needs to be like a jab and then exploding back. Instead, he kind of jabs and stands there on that with the weight on that foot, and then doesn't get back in the hand up. And Terrence Ross, mama, hits a 3. So again, another pick and roll here where they ice it again. This is okay. They've chased him down on the baseline. They're containing. But this is the problem. McRoberts needs to be probably a step back so that he can, not necessarily get the hand on the ball, but then he can be in position to like get there. Oh, I didn't grab the beginning of this. Where's the? Oh, I missed it. See, this is what I want to get through. Oh, maybe I had the replay. But what we missed here is Biyombo completely hacking McRoberts, and then McRoberts getting frustrated and just taking it, wailing on him. And that's what happens when the referees don't call the fouls when they should call them. So let's see. I think I know I have the replay here. I grabbed it. I'm pretty sure. So here. Oh, don't tell me they don't show. I grabbed the replay thinking that they'd show the offensive board. They don't. That stinks. Well, anyway, the point is that McRoberts got completely the same thing happened to him just before that. They didn't call it right in front of the referees. It was really bad. And then finally at the end here, up by 20. Is this the dagger? Yeah. Again, more problems with the pick and roll. So Winslow is on him, and he's standing straight up and down. I know this is pretty much over, but they set a screen. Dang switches, set another screen. Boom. Now this is okay. You jump out as a hedge. And then, Dang kind of goes under, but look how low he is, look how slow he is to react. He nails the jumper. That is the dagger or the exclamation point on the game, and that was it. And there we are. We have the Miami Heat going fishing, and I was wrong. I picked the Heat to win it, and I don't know. It seemed like on paper they had enough, but they didn't really deserve to win it. Although the refereeing was pretty problematic today, they still didn't do enough, in my opinion, to mitigate those issues, and it was just wasn't there. This was a very prototypical 7th game we see at home as the home team slowly pulls away. Well, let's just check. Maybe we have a few more questions here. I got 2 more, and we'll wrap it up. So let's go to Twitter with our hashtag BBallShow. So we have Michael Chan. Oh, he's got 2 questions in there. I guess he's going to get the last 2. Hey, Coach Nick, what do you think the Raptors need to do to possibly defeat the Cavaliers? I can answer it real quickly. I did already talk about that, but who needs to step up, and defensively, how should they stop the trio? Actually, I haven't talked about that. So we mentioned DeMar and Lowry need to shoot well together at the same time. And then what are they going to do to match up? So DeMar Carroll is going to have to match up against LeBron. And then who's going to guard Kevin Love? You have Patterson would be very good on that. And then, because Valanciunas, he'll have to guard Thompson. We'll see. That could be hit or miss. And then who are we talking about? Kyrie. Yeah, they'll put Dragic on him, and that should be okay. Dragic can kind of defend a little bit. And who else? And then, Richardson actually, the problem is he's a rookie, so he doesn't get the benefit of any calls. But I like his defense. And then Winslow, you know what? Winslow will probably – oh, I'm sorry. Winslow's in the Heat. Sorry. As far as the Raptors go, so they're going to be a little thin. They're going to be trouble to try and match up as well as they can. But they have some pieces. I think Patterson can go against Love, and he could probably take LeBron a little bit, and that's going to be helpful for them. So we'll see. But again, I just don't feel great for Toronto in that series. They're also going to be coming off, they might be a little tired, although when's that first game? Probably Tuesday. So that might be tough. They don't have a lot of rest, a lot of preparation. Meanwhile, the Cavs have been, sipping pina coladas the last several days. Well, great stuff. If you haven't seen it yet, check out my LeBron fouling breakdown, because we took a real deep dive into the numbers where he took more shots in the paint this year but got a lot fewer fouls. And I explained why. Doesn't have to do with the rest as much as the way the offense is running for him. But it ended up being sort of an evolution of LeBron's game and how he's adjusted as he's gotten older. So really cool stuff. I should do more of those with other players. And then we got the big one tomorrow. Cannot wait. Tomorrow is OKC and the Spurs. So let me know on Twitter if you want to have a post-game show for that, because why not? That sounds like a good one. And I'll let you know what happens tomorrow during the day if we're going to do it. And they got a lot of other great videos and great stuff, great podcasts coming up and already up. I got a really good one with Ronnie Chang of the who's a correspondent for The Daily Show. It's really funny and really actually a great conversation about basketball. So don't miss any of that stuff, and use our mobile app to download it and listen to everything. It's all right there for you. Plus, you can speak to me directly there and speak to everybody in the community. There's fantastic GIFs and polls and whatnot. So lots of stuff there. And again, thank you for coming for another post-game live show. We're killing it with all the numbers here. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?